Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, for the first time and the only time this NBA season, I can utter the sentence, the NBA season might end tonight. Keyword might, for the first and only time, because it's definitely going to end Thursday if the Suns, if Phoenix, if the city, if they could push it to 7 games. We're breaking down game 6. I've already got a bet in on game 6. We have hit on all these finals games so far in terms of the spread, so we'll see if we can make it a perfect 6 of 6, or potentially, if we're on this side that can get to 7, a perfect 7 of 7. I got 2 props so far in the morning, and I got everything projected out for daily fantasy sports. SuperDraft, DraftKings can convert over to FanDuel. Why don't we get right now into it? Let's do it. Now, before we get started, there's a couple of national calendar days today, and the big one is National Pennsylvania Day. Shout out to all my peeps from Pennsylvania. Born and raised in Pennsylvania. Went to college at Penn State. Shout out the Nittany Lions, and I just went to a wedding this past weekend in Pennsylvania. It was a beautiful, beautiful time. Today is also National Moon Day, so go ahead and give somebody a full moon. And National Lollipop Day. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? Let me know. So the end of game 5 was pretty damn crazy. You saw Booker goes off a screen, hits the fadeaway 3 to put it within a minute and 24 seconds. Giannis goes down the court, was shooting fine on free throws to some point, and then he ends up shooting 4 of 11, misses back-to-back free throws. Chris Paul gets in there, makes it a 1-point game. Holiday misses the layup, and on the other end, they have a chance to tie or potentially win the game. Phoenix, if they make a bucket, probably win the game. Holiday gets a steal, should just waste at the time, do free throws. No, goes alley-oop in transition to Giannis, one of the fiercest dunks that you will see. Chris Paul, maybe a little bit of a cheap play going in there. Giannis misses the and one, but gets their own rebound, and free throws close that puppy out. Shout out Chris Middleton. So a crazy end to game 5. Now the Bucks have won 3 in a row in this series. Now the Bucks are the favorites to win the series, of course. 75% chance around there for teams that go up 3-2. And they're heading home in this one. So got the big road win. They're now 5-point favorites opening up in this one. It's moved in some books to 4.5 or 4-point favorites. But I am on the Phoenix Suns +5 today, and I am thinking that this game is going to go to 7. And we'll break down Milwaukee and then Phoenix in a second. But even if it doesn't go to 7, the +5 is still enough to, if this thing ends in game 6, we can still win that bet. 5 points is a lot, especially for how close these teams have been playing the last few games. Now, the big 3 all stepped up. It might have been the first time this entire postseason. You've seen Middleton and Giannis. You've seen Giannis and Jrue Holiday step up in games, right? Earlier this series, Giannis and Jrue Holiday. Earlier this series, Middleton and Giannis, but you haven't seen all 3 at once. And it finally happened. Jrue gets the massive steal to get the W. Jrue, in his own right, shoots 60%, 12 of 20, 27 points and 13 assists. He was sharp all the way down to playing 42-plus minutes. Middleton, playing the most minutes on the team, which has normally been the case this postseason, plays 43-plus minutes, scores 29 points, 12 of 23 overall, is clutch down the stretch, making 4 of the final 8 shots for this team and taking 4 of those final 8 as well. And then Giannis continues to be Giannis. Giannis only has 2 turnovers in the last 3 games of this series. That is very impressive for somebody who plays the style of play that he does. Very aggressive, down low, strips are possible. Hasn't been happening at all. Giannis in this game ended up playing 42 minutes and having 32 points, 9 rebounds. So the big 3 ends up showing up. But also there's been this, not the big 4 by any means, but a key role player. A very key role player has been coming on in this series. And you've probably been noticing that if you're taking his player props or you're just taking his fantasy point props or playing him at all in DFS. And that means name is Pat Connaughton. Connaughton played another 33 minutes in the Game 5 W. He was +10 overall, the 3rd best on the team. He started 3 of 3 from 3-point range, ended up being 4 of 6 overall. He had it going. He had the stroke going from the corner, and he was playing great defense. That +10 is showing you that. Now, Pat Connaughton today, I'm also expecting to play some nice minutes. As you can see on the screen, I'm giving him 32 minutes of play. This postseason, he's averaging around 0.67 to 0.7 fantasy points per minute. The Bucks minutes are completely on the screen right now. As you can see, not much is changing here for me. Brook Lopez got 28 minutes in that last game. There's some foul trouble going on. I gave him 25 in this game. Bobby Portis splitting those minutes. Jeff Teague getting 8 minutes. Bryn Forbes has not been in the rotation lately, but everything else looks pretty standard right here. You might see more minutes. I'm giving 42 for all of the big 3. I could expect you to see more minutes for Middleton, maybe 43, 44. Giannis staying put at 42, and so is Jrue Holiday for me right now. Some other things to talk about was that foul trouble that you did see, and that foul trouble came for PJ Tucker, which you can see right now. His run is in the green. Anything that is yellow or gold or beige, whatever you want to call it, means he's off the court. So he ends up starting the game off. He picks up a personal foul in the first quarter. Nothing crazy. In the second quarter, he comes out. He picks up 2 more personal fouls to end the half. So now he has 3 personal fouls in the first half. He starts the game out, so he starts the second half. This is the 3rd quarter right right here, this little green box. He only ends up playing 5 minutes, gets his 4th personal foul, gets pulled. So he loses about 2 minutes there. But a pretty important piece is right here. He checks back in the 4th quarter, where he normally closes out the final 10 minutes or so, or the entire 4th quarter. He checks back in for just 30 seconds, picks up his 5th personal foul. He then sits out for about 5 minutes until closing out the game. So he was still able to close out the game in this one, but he ends up missing out on probably at least 5 minutes, that 5 minutes in the 4th, but probably 2 minutes earlier on. So in this game, he only plays 24 minutes for a guy, 24 and a half minutes. Let's get it straight. Let's not get it twisted. 24 and a half minutes for a guy normally playing 32 plus. And instead of the 24 and a half that he got in the last game, I'm giving Tucker 32. Those 8 minutes are then getting pulled from a Bobby Portis, getting pulled from a Brook Lopez to get him back up to his normal run. So that's a big piece of news that we should follow, or at least see based on the rotations. Bobby Portis had a hot second quarter. Bobby Portis, all 9 of his points in this game in the second quarter. He was 2 of 2 from 3-point range, and he ended up being +7 overall in the game. He's been a very nice key piece for them in the rotation, especially in that Brooklyn series. But now, in this series, now it's about 2 or 3 games where he's really contributed. So there's some crazy team stats. They only shot 53% from free throw line in that last game. Giannis being 4 of 11 was a big contributor to that. But they held Phoenix to only 19 threes. If they can hold Phoenix, yet again, to only 19 threes, that's going to be pretty damn impressive. And they're probably going to win, because even when they shoot 68% like they did, 60+% like they did Phoenix, it's only on 19 attempts, so it's not killing you. They won the offensive rebounding battle. They won the transition battle. This Milwaukee team did everything right. You had the best game, and they were able to absorb that blow from Phoenix. Milwaukee still got the job done. But now they're pretty big favorites as 5 points. I'll take the Phoenix out of that one, but I do have a couple of player props, too, that I'll take before we get into my favorite plays from Milwaukee. And those two, we'll start with the Milwaukee prop first. So I'll be adding more props later in the day. We'll have a live stream later today, so be sure to tune in for that. You can like and subscribe to this YouTube channel now, and the NBA season will be ending either today or on Thursday, and then the NFL season, lovely for us, starts up in about 2 weeks, the first preseason game. We already have the draft guide out for that. A bunch of stuff on information on that down below. But Jrue Holiday, under 8.5 assists. He's been about half in this series. He'll have 7 assists in some games, exactly 9. Last game, he had the big game with 13 assists. I'll take the under 8.5 assists in this game for Jrue Holiday. I expect the minutes to still be there, but I expect him to be less efficient overall, just because he was massively efficient on not only his shooting, 60% in the last game, but also his assists. His potential assists converted into assists because Chris Middleton was efficient. Giannis was efficient, right? All these guys being efficient, even guys like Bobby Portis were efficient on his limited attempts. Pat Connaughton's 4 of 6 from 3, right? So those guys being so efficient helps your assist percentage, or your potential assists, convert over. I'll take the under now on 8.5, as it seems to be a little bit high, maybe a half an assist to an assist too high for my liking. We're taking that over under on Prize Picks. If you want to tail this over under, we'll talk about the other prop when we get to Phoenix, the Devin Booker one you see on the screen. But if you want to tail that, you can go to Prize Picks right now. 2 things that you can get on Prize Picks. If you use the code SAL down below, it's over unders player props, it's over unders points, assists, rebounds, 3-pointers, free throws made, all that type of stuff down below. Use the code SAL. You'll get a free bet up to $100. No matter how much you deposit for your first time, if it's $50, if it's $20, they'll match it all the way up to $100. And you have a potential chance of becoming a millionaire tonight. Once you sign up with that code, if it's your first time, they will send you a question or a link with 5 questions. If you answer those 5 questions correctly, you become a millionaire. If you answer 3 out of 5, you make some money. They're not easy questions. Nobody's giving away $1 million. But if you answer all 5 correctly, you will become a millionaire. That's a limited time only during these NBA playoffs, which might just be tonight. So be sure to take advantage of both of those. Thank you, Prize Picks, for sponsoring the L program today. So my favorite plays from a DFS perspective from this side of the ball is going to be in order: Giannis, Jrue Holiday, Middleton, PJ Tucker, Pat Connaughton, and Brook Lopez. Those are the 6 players that I have right now in a player pool. I don't have Bobby Portis or Jeff Teague, so that's the 8-man rotation. Those are the 6 in that order that I've ranked over on Patreon. You can check it out on Patreon down below. Projections, rankings, optimizers, ownership for other sports, and a bunch of other things going on. Key stats. Check it all out. What are you waiting for? To the Phoenix side of the ball right now. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this Phoenix team trying to push us to 7 games as 5-point underdogs opening up on some books, 4.5. We're taking Phoenix as 5-point underdogs in this one. Booker was as efficient as it gets in the last game. This whole team was 55% shooting, 68% from 3, right? Only 2 times have teams shot 68+% from 3 and 55+% from the field, or 65+%. They shoot 68. Only 2 times ever, and that was one of the 2 times they ended up losing the game. In any basketball game, not just in the postseason. They shot 13 to 19, but only 19 attempts. That's just to the defense and the perimeter defense, the PJ Tuckers, the Jrue Holidays, the Chris Middletons of this Milwaukee team really settling in since Game 2's loss. At one point in this game, they led by 16. They ended up winning the turnover differential by 3 points, and they still couldn't get the job done. Milwaukee, obviously, just both teams played well. There's not anything we can knock on this team. They shot fantastic, 90+% from the free throw line. Those 3 things combined was the 2nd time ever, right? So they played great in this game. They maybe even played better than Milwaukee at points, but just not down the stretch, especially during the second half, in the beginning of the second half, where there was a nice run by Milwaukee. So Booker was efficient. The whole team was 17 of 33, 40 points, plus 12 in the game, was the second best. He was a team best. He was 8 of 8 at the rim. At the rim, he was 8 of 8 in this game. Some of that is transition, but still efficient. CB3 was efficient in 35 minutes. Note, only 35 minutes, though. It's been tough for him because of just his fatigue, the age to get to 40-plus minutes. 9 of 15 shooting, 3 of 30 from 3. In this game, he had 11 assists, 5 personal fouls. He was limited again due to the fatigue, especially down the stretch. So the Pig 2 had it cooking. Hell, DeAndre Ayton played the most minutes in the game at 45 minutes, 7 of 12 shooting, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. He had 20 points. He had 10 rebounds, 3 of them being offensive rebounds, plus 6 in this game. They were all efficient. There's nothing to say poorly or that bad about this Phoenix team. They just ended up losing. One team had to lose, and there were 2 great teams playing out there, having probably both of their best performances of the postseason, and they ended up losing. Even the role players were showing up in this one. McCall Bridges showed up in this one, right? 5 of 6 overall, 3 of 3 from 3. Finished plus 6 in the game, number 2 on the team behind Booker. Only 33 minutes. I would expect more moving forward, right? So this was a very efficient performance from this team. Jay Crowder plays 40 minutes overall. They limit their rotation down. You're not seeing any other guys get in there at much, right? No Frank Kaminsky. It makes it very easy to project this team when, again, you're only seeing 8-man rotations in the postseason, and when Cam Payne can't get in there for many more minutes because Chris Paul and Devin Booker, especially Booker, are playing big minutes, you know he has a cap to what his minutes can be. You kind of understand now that Jay Crowder is going to play 35-plus minutes. McCall Bridges is going to hover around there. You can expect now around 40 minutes for Chris Paul. 42-plus minutes or so around there for Ayton and Devin Booker. We know what to expect now that we've had 5 games in the series, and we've seen a couple of different adjustments from each team here, and this is what we're getting. We're getting some Torrey Craig. We're getting no Frank Kaminsky. We're getting potentially 20 to 24 minutes of Cam Johnson. Unless he's hot, he can get to 26. So it's pretty plug and play now. It's just trying to look for some values, and there are definitely values for guys who have been struggling in this series, or at least the last couple of games, and one of those guys would be Chris Paul, so he's going to stand out as a potential value for us. So if I had to rank my interest from this team right now, in order, it would be Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker. And now you might be saying, oh, well, those are the obvious guys. Well, yes, that's how they're priced. Chris Paul right now is too cheap. Now, he has been struggling, and the main reason why he's so cheap is he's not playing 40 or 42-plus minutes like the big 3 from the other side of the ball, or like DeAndre Ayton, or on his own team, Devin Booker. So it makes it more difficult for him to pay off a $10,000 price tag, so that's why he's not there. If he was playing 40 minutes consistently, and you're getting an additional 45 minutes per game out of him, well, obviously, for over a fantasy point per minute producer, that takes him from a projection of around 40 or 42 to 46 to 47 to 48. That's a big difference, especially on a showdown slate. I have Chris Paul right now today for 44.8 fantasy points. I think I'm a couple points ahead of the consensus on him. I believe that I like the over 8.5 assists and moved to 9 on Prize Picks, so I'm a little bit hesitant, but over 8.5 assists on Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul a good amount today. Ayton playing big minutes, and I expect him to continue to play big minutes in this one. I think they're going to be matching, although it's not working too well, matching his minutes with Giannis. And in that last game, it actually looked decent compared to other games, so not too well, but last game, pretty well, right? Ends up still positive in 45 minutes of play. After those big 3, I would rank the interest then Cam Johnson, Cam Payne, Jay Crowder, McCall Bridges, and Torrey Craig in that order. That would be the 8 ranked for me personally. And now on the opposite side of the prop, I have Devin Booker over 44 fantasy points. I also like the Chris Paul over fantasy points. Don't want to put them both in the same thing because a lot has to happen for that to work out. I have Devin Booker right now for 46.73. I think that arguably the Chris Paul one is the better prop there, but just because of his minutes not being as stable, right? He can play 36 today when Booker can play 45 today. That's a big difference, right? For potential minutes, and you would not be shocked. I'll take the more secure minutes floor and upside and even median for Devin Booker over Chris Paul. So the over 44 fantasy points, combine those both together, take whatever props you do want. Again, that code SAL, limited time only, potentially ends tonight. You get that free bet, the free money match up to $100. Even if you plan to use it during the NFL season, might as well use it right now, and a chance to become a millionaire for potentially the final time tonight if the NBA season ends. So check it out down below. The code SAL, S-A-L, will help you out with that one. So to recap briefly, we have the Suns at +5 today. Get it where you can get it, +4.5, but +5 is ideal. Suns at +5. The 2 player props that we have right now over that we just talked about, Devin Booker, 44 fantasy points, and Jrue Holiday under 8.5 assists. I also like Chris Paul's over 8.5 assists if you can still find that number out there. And then for overall favorite plays in this game, a top 5 that we can give you right now from a DraftKings perspective, we have other projections for SuperDraft down below on Patreon, would be in this order: Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Devin Booker, and Jrue Holiday. Those would be my 5 favorites. My favorite punt play on the day today for a cheap option is going to be Cam Johnson at 4,400. None of that probably shocks you at this point since we've been covering this for 5 games now, and I would say been covering it to a pretty nice extent. So, best of luck in Game 6. Go +5 in the Suns. Go to a couple of props we have, and let's see if we can get to a Game 7. Who doesn't want more basketball? Just 2 more days of basketball. Let's not end it tonight. Let's end it Thursday. If it ends on Thursday, then we're only 2 weeks exactly away, I believe, from the start of the NFL season. Maybe it's 3, August 5th, first preseason game. I can't wait. There's other NFL content on this channel right now, so be sure to check it out. All the information on offers are down below. Like and subscribe before you go, and we will be live later today, about an hour or so before the game, to answer your questions for 45 minutes or so. See y'all there.